Live from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the Path.
And you're listening to Live from the Path. We're coming from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper.
We're excited to be here.
California love. No. That shouldn't be happening, that part.
Okay, we're going to get copyrighted for that?
No, we already get flagged for the use of the song that I used.
That's true. We do get flagged every time.
Hey, all right, you're listening Live from the Path. Okay. Here's what I'm telling you. I scanned the news this week. And, boy, I mean, I feel like we've tread on most of these roads before. So, like, persecution in somewhere, and somebody's upset. Somebody says, is the tithe real? Somebody says, here's how you should read the scriptures.
Oh, no, hold on, man. Is it possible that there's nothing rattling the cages of the people of Jesus this week?
I mean, I don't know that the Jesus people are worried about the balloon, right? I mean, that's just a balloon.
Okay, we are going to talk about that balloon. Now, listen. What balloon? The Chinese spy balloon.
I've heard
That went through the entire country.
There's nothing about this that makes any sense at all.
No.
Zero.
Sorry for bringing that
I'm
up.
going to lay out the facts right here.
I'm interested. Realize I have no context in what you're saying, so you're going to be the one
Think
who
like,
educates me
what's
here.
that movie, Big Hero 6, right? That big old gargantuan blow-up dummy that
The
helps build
marshmallow
robots.
robot.
Yeah,
Baymax?
Baymax. So this Baymax balloon come flying over the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's freaking out
Spy balloon.
because Montana sees it first, and Montana's like, "That's
Oh, boy. I'm
that's
surprised
different
it
than
made
me."
it past Montana, not shot down.
So Montana lets it go. Blah blah blah. The government's dragging their feet, and everyone's like, "It's a Chinese spy balloon." I'm like, "Okay, so far,
Huge.
huge Baymax balloon." So eventually, to get it down with all its technological spy equipment in a non-propelled, taken by the wind balloon, which is a weird way to invest, say, your spy network in.
Yep.
The United States decides to shoot it down with a Sidewinder missile instead of, say, putting a hook on it and towing it to the ground.
Yeah, they have ways to use helicopters and to pull those puppies in.
Got to be kidding
So, like,
me.
there's, like, dramatic footage of this missile shooting down a balloon, and now they got divers trying to find the parts in the water.
Yeah,
'cause
let's
they
wait till it gets to the salt water.
I mean, seriously, there's
It don't add up.
none of it adds
Nothing.
up.
Something's
Here's the
not
thing.
right.
The Chinese have satellites that can identify
Yep.
a pimple on my right butt cheek from space. It would be ridiculous to send out this easily seen, low-flying Baymax non-propelled balloon.
And if you think that, like, pictures from a balloon is what the Chinese government is excited about when it
But
comes
they get a
to...
little closer. I mean, they got some pretty. They've hung out by our military bases.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough, but, like,
propelled.
the internet is
balloon.
where you get data. Like, that's where you get stuff where you can cripple a government. It's not from a balloon.
This is
Well, no. Okay, no. Like, it's surveillance footage. You could.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean
they're
it's
better
on.
pictures. Than
they
satellite.
could get surveillance footage from satellites all
Now,
day long.
They can get it from your phones.
Okay, no. You're not taking pictures of government installations with
That's
your phone.
completely
But
untrue.
you are with satellites.
The amount of people that do that, insane. The people that have cell phones on military bases, people that have CCTV that's everywhere. We want people not
They
people to
don't
look
do
into.
CCTV on sensitive military installations.
TikTok. But the
Yeah,
balloon's
whatever.
not in there.
No, it's above it. No, but here's the point: because I thought about that same thing. I thought, like, China seems like they could get this anywhere, right? They have much more sophisticated means, internet included, to otherwise harvest data. But I'm gonna tell you this: didn't we talk about not like 3 or 4 months ago that, like, the flat out audacity of some of these people?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you go to Russia and you go and you say, hey, did you invade Ukraine? No way. We totally didn't do it. Dude, your soldiers are in here. No, I didn't do it. You tell me that's not the same attitude that goes, yeah, whatever, fly the balloon. Send the weather satellite.
Okay.
Because
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this in two categories.
Okay.
First is the Chinese decision to fly the balloon.
Yes.
First of all, this makes very little sense to me.
Yeah.
If they are doing this out of sheer brazenness, just to be brazen, because once again, on the boob end of things, this data is obtainable through satellite imagery way easier and way more cool.
I don't know about you. I'm out on that.
Yeah, you're right. You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I certainly know.
No, you don't.
I know almost everything there is to know about satellite imagery.
Yeah, so does Booba.
That's what I'm saying. Me and Booba are in the know.
We're
experts. So let's put that on one side.
Okay, yeah.
The American reaction to this balloon baffles me to no end.
Yeah.
Like to actually watch them get a legit plane out, Sidewinder missile this thing, and then go, hey man, all the pieces are in the water. Now we're going to have to like dig it out of there. All the data's probably ruined now. If you'd have just towed it down and looked at it, everything would have been fine.
So they said when they first spotted it over Montana, I remember someone going, hey, like the Biden administration says, hey, I don't want to
in Canada when they said A.
Oh yeah, they say, hey, I don't want to shoot it down because we're worried it's going to land on somebody. Now I want you to think about that. The precision of which you can route a phone call to me anywhere in the United States through a satellite, and you're telling me that we can't find some 200 square mile area in Montana of all places, or say North Dakota or parts of Nebraska to shoot. I mean, to just get a shotgun and have a guy sit out of a helicopter and shoot
Montana
it.
would have done it for free. Yeah. All you would have said is, hey, boys, we need that balloon down. And it would have been, boy, howdy. They would have been out there. I mean, the thing had been down in 5 minutes.
That's why they spotted it. There's like a gang of people in Montana constantly just looking at the sky, looking for stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, like, what? This is just way too, like, spy movie ridiculous, right? There's a bunch of facts out there, and you're like, okay, why didn't you let Montana shoot it down over land? Why did you not just go tow it back to the ground? Like, it's not even propelled by, like, hydrogen. Like, I could see them being like, hey, what if there's a biological agent in it? Or what if it blah, blah, blah? Well, okay, like, X-ray it from a helicopter, do some thermal imaging, then tow the thing to a safe military base if we want to, and quarantine it. But, like, blowing it up seemed like a complete overreaction.
Yeah, but I think that's on the same regard. Like, both sides of that bucket of facts are ridiculous. Like, if you were China and this was just a weather balloon, like, wouldn't you know when it left, say, your country and made its way all the way across the ocean?
Right.
And
like,
then
wouldn't you call and be like, hey, just a heads up.
Yeah.
There's a gigantic spy-looking type balloon heading your way.
Right.
We don't mean anything by
to
it.
avoid an international incident, dial the phone. Heck, at as fast as it was going, you could have sent a postcard to somebody in Hawaii and gone, heads up, we lost track of it. We think it's heading your way. Like, there were totally ways to head this off that they absolutely didn't do. Like, the whole thing just seems like it's like something is not right.
It is. I mean, it's all over the board ridiculous.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find out someday.
Yeah, as they send divers down.
Years.
There's like a 7-mile radius, what'd they say? And the place that crash landed is like, I don't know, 500 feet deep. Like, we're going to have divers at this thing for months trying to scour parts. If you'd have just shot it down over Montana, we could have known everything you want to know right now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do it on the Canadian border. Be like, oh, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Our bad.
Didn't mean to.
My bad, dog.
Anyway, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
Apparently, it was 200 feet tall.
Isn't that crazy? Oh, that's the Hindenburg. That's a giant balloon.
What does that come out to be?
The suspected Chinese spy balloon that the U.S. shot down over the weekend was 200 feet tall, officials said Monday, or roughly 4 times the size of the Snoopy balloon at the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade.
That doesn't seem all that impressive.
And then later on in the article, it then compared it to the size of the Christmas tree at the Rockefeller.
Well, isn't that
So
like
for some reason, the person who's writing this article is very interested in holidays.
Well, it's like a
and
15
New York landmarks.
But like, what's the average height per story in a building?
It's
14
20
feet?
story.
Yeah, it's like a 20-story
It's
building.
about 10 feet per story. So it's a 20-story building.
That's crazy.
And
That's
it was
a crazy
12 miles
big
up.
balloon.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
So,
What's a regular hot air balloon?
So it said, well, I don't have comparison of how big it was to a regular size hot air balloon, but I think it was relatively high up too. So like that also is why they're not just shooting down from the ground.
I think it was an airplane pilot that first saw it.
Yeah, it looks like
pictures of
it's a situation. It was 60,000 feet off the ground.
Hot air balloon is between 1,000 and 3,000 feet.
And
So-
this was
20,000.
20,000. Yeah.
20,000 feet?
Yeah.
No, not 20,000 feet. Excuse me, 2,000.
2,000.
I looked up how high a hot air balloon can go.
Oh.
Not the height of a hot air balloon.
Oh.
And
how
also,
tall?
it was 200 feet tall. I don't know why I just said 2,000 then 20,000.
Okay, that's way different.
200 feet tall.
That's way different.
That's a different.
It was
yeah,
20. It's still a 20-story building.
Okay, yeah, but so a regular hot air balloon is about 7 stories tall.
Yeah, so it's about
So it's like half-
about 3 times
Three
the
of
size
those.
of that.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Anyway, it don't seem right.
Yeah. So they shot it down not over continental like soil because they were saying also that they didn't want it to cause civilian casualties as it fell, as it was a 200-foot tall 200-foot tall balloon.
Just tow it.
There's only 7 people in Montana. They could
This
have done
one-
it.
Well, they're towing it from 60,000 feet.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
We have technology.
I mean, I'm not saying we don't. Trust me. I know a lot about the internet and
Tom
a
Cruise
lot
will go
about
get it. Tell
satellite.
Tom
I've
Cruise
seen the
it's up
internet.
there.
Tom Cruise would have taken his own personal
He
F-22
would've
Raptor
went-
out
They
there.
pole vaulted it.
And he would have jumped on it, held on to it
That's exactly what that
Mission
man was
Impossible.
made for.
He really would have. He
Look,
would have-
Tom, it's time for all this phony baloney to end.
You've done 2 Top Guns. It's time for Top Balloon.
Go get that thing.
Wile E. Coyote has had that gun that shoots out a net for like 60 years.
Yeah.
You'd ought to have good aim by now.
That's right. I mean, why does he have it?
Can we
don't?
just poke a small hole in it and watch it
60 years.
slowly
That's like
come down?
1973.
You know?
Yeah.
There's nothing about this makes any lick of sense. The whole thing is like fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there okay? I'm getting so the conspiracy theory here. Is there a chance that this is just it's all to keep us focused on other things?
Okay, there's 2 possibilities here. One, there's a way bigger story going on.
Right.
And the United States floated this
No
balloon up.
Yeah. It's Jeff
And-
Bezos.
Yeah, it's Bezos.
Yeah.
And then put the fool on everybody. 2, it's Putin. And he threw it up there and went, hee, hee, hee.
Look at he sounds like something Putin.
Look at his dummies.
I'm
They're
pretty
gonna
sure
think
that
it's the
Hunter's
Chinese.
laptop was on that balloon. That's why it's in the water.
Okay.
We had no idea.
So wait,
Do you guys think that Trader Joe's parking lots are made smaller than they need to be so they seem more busy?
Dang. Probably. I was just there today and I thought, why is this place so hopping busy at Monday night?
and they also are oddly they're like Jehovah's Witnesses. They've got them all parked funny, like they're all like diagonals.
Have you also seen the different like product lines that you get? That it's not just Trader Joe's. Like depending on the product line and the ethnicity of the product line, you get a different trader. Like there's Trader Giotto's.
Oh yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and there's like Trader Jose's.
I did not
and stuff
notice
like
that.
that.
Wow.
It's like from the Ratatouille.
Why don't they get in trouble
Yes.
for stereotyping people?
They got burned on that a couple years ago on
Pretty sure
something.
that's like a subtle
Hey,
racism
did
to
you
like
know
Trader Ming.
that was it the Trader Joe's and the Aldi is owned by like 2 brothers?
Yeah.
Like
That
separate
does not
brothers?
surprise me.
Can you imagine the dad that produced 2 store magnates? Right? Like both your boys grew up to run like independent, like 2 different grocery stores?
Yeah.
What do you think the arguments are like at Christmas?
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey man, we have fantastic prices and we keep those prices down because like we run a tight ship here at Aldi and we make sure that we don't need too many people and like Car Corral that's pay a quarter, stuff like that. We really try and drive that. Trader Joe's like, yeah, but we got Trader Ming's, man. Have you
Yeah.
ever had our sweet like beignets? They're awesome.
We've
Yeah.
convinced everybody that we're the epitome of health.
Right, exactly.
That same thing happened with gas stations. There was like the Johnson family, and it was KC Johnson and QuickTrip Johnson had the same problem.
Okay.
Same problem. This is my
15 seconds into that, I was like, nope.
this is my son.
This is a lie. This is fake.
QuickTrip Johnson.
I know I shouldn't have named the boy
QuickTrip Johnson. Their names were Casey and QuickTrip.
I feel so good about what I said.
Hey, do you know they have Casey's out as far as Dayton, Ohio now?
They
yeah?
keep buying up. The Casey's keeps buying up like small groups of gas stations. They're low. They're in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
They
Really?
bought like a truck stop in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
When I was driving in from Pennsylvania and I drove through Dayton and saw Casey's, I thought I was having a stroke because I was like, I'm almost 100% certain that's like Iowa and then a little bit of like Western Illinois.
Is that a normal symptom of a stroke? Is to feel like you've
It is for me. I've had 4 strokes. All
These
4
gas
of them.
stations are not where they belong.
I have
Arms tingling.
I have a connection to Casey's Breakfast Pizza to the point that it's a medical thing where if I have a stroke, I see a Casey's where there was not a Casey's before. So it's a lot like my expertise on satellite imaging. The it's a weird thing to specialize in, like strokes
Someone's got to do it.
and satellite imagery. I don't know. It's whatever.
Well, wasn't there a big hostile takeover attempt on them a few years ago? Maybe they was part of their expansion is to be worth more.
Like somebody was trying to take over Casey's?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have boycotted that.
If I
I would have shown up at a front door for that
10 years ago. I don't
that
know.
meeting.
Time flies.
This is a QuickTrip Johnson. I'm here to buy this case.
Brother, I'm taking it over.
Okay, Mike, did you watch the Grammys?
No.
So how did you hear about this devil performance?
I saw it in passing as an article.
Okay.
I didn't
You were
read
looking
it,
at
though.
articles of people in devil.
Well, I was looking
I
at
saw it
regular
on the
news,
Twitter.
and then all of a sudden they're like, there was some performance of some dude in a devil costume or whatever. I'm like, oh, what is this now?
It's
I'm like,
weird.
It's just so ridiculous. Then I realized that, like, I don't know what year I stopped caring about the Grammys. Like, I ain't watched it. I mean, it probably
I had no idea it was on until people were talking
20
about it.
years?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just don't care about it anymore. And, like, do you think that's because, like, the musical taste of which you grew up in is kind of, your bands aren't represented anymore? Or, like, the show itself is just terrible?
I don't think I've ever watched the Grammys in my life, so
Oh, totally. I used to watch it religiously.
I'd never watched the award shows of anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't know
just
why.
never.
Just never been. We never watched Grammys in my house. We didn't watch the Oscars. Like we didn't Emmys. I don't even know.
It is
Is
kinda
there
dumb.
more than that?
Wait, I wonder if
Sure there's more,
the like the viewer ratings or whatever of those shows have just been steadily
It's been
declining.
tanking, yeah.
Like, and it doesn't seem awkward that like that industry holds an award show to celebrate themselves, and then like less and less people are watching it, and yet the party continues to go on.
But we're still great.
Yeah, it'd be like Live from the Path hosting a 500 episode.
But no
That'd be
one's
pretty
seen-
rough, man. We should
It's super awkward.
We're the best.
do our own like award show called the Podkeys or something.
Did you say pod geezers?
I said Podkeys,
Oh, okay.
not the Podgeezers. Maybe you should be one though if that's what you heard.
I thought I heard pod geezers.
That feels like a Statler and Waldorf host an award show for podcasts.
Okay, so here's the thing: is like I saw a little bit of reaction to this thing, and of course people are like offended and up in arms that a dude put on a devil costume and sang a song called "Unholy." And like, here's the thing: is at the end of the day, this is just regular old, you know what I'm saying? Like stupid rebellion, not like anything I'm afraid of. I'm way more concerned with like the way that we are fooling and driving the way that we talk about mental health, mostly across the board, the way that we talk about sexuality across the board, the way that what we expect and don't expect out of our kids coming up, right? Before I'm ever worried about like this overtly doofus in a Satan costume mimicked off the Renaissance depiction of Dante's Inferno. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just so not anything to get kerfuffled about.
So is the reaction? Are people saying like this is sign of the times situation where like we've got the devil being represented in our mainstream media? And
yeah,
our kids
so
are
I mean,
ingesting
it
this
did
and
couple with
I
the
don't
fact
know.
that like a transgendered artist had won an award, and so like people were like, they're like, well, look at all these things combining. It's
obviously Satan.
It's all falling apart. And like once again, like, and maybe that's just my opinion of the way that like the deceiver works in this world, but like he's not the Chinese spy balloon operation, right? He's for sure the
Would
satellite.
have been red.
Right? Like it just seems like he's a nudge and a push and a fool and a trick and a misdirect and a fog and like not, hey man, put on this super tight Satan costume and sing a song called "Not Set Apart." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not. It's
Doing something not set apart.
I'm like everybody else.
Gosh,
just-
that's great.
Granted, it's probably not funny, but like it's just not.
Yeah.
I don't know. People getting really gassed.
If you're
It's like-
surprised by this, you haven't been awake for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Not to make a joke on the whole woke thought process. I'm just saying, like, I think you've been sleeping for a bit because you haven't seen what's happening. Like, society hasn't really been killing it for a long time. So, like,
A little while.
if you're surprised by new things, just completely
Ever since-
shattering your world.
exactly.
It's ever since the backmasking of the 70s that's when things went backwards and things started flipping upside down and saying I love Satan on the records.
Right, Chicago, you play it backwards. It's devil speak.
For Go Hockey Hush, which is literally Chicago backwards.
Well, I guess is that sign of the times then? Is it all ending?
Oh yeah, what is this? Where did this game go?
Non-biblical signs of the apocalypse.
Non-biblical signs of the apocalypse.
Right. Is this balloon a sign? Is it ending? Is this a trumpet?
This is dumb. This is the best of what humanity has to offer. This balloon right here,
And then
in
Sam
all
Smith
forms.
wearing a devil costume. Is there a voice crying out?
I mean,
Are we seeing a beast with 10 horns and
here's the thing: is you know
10
that
crowns?
like, he legit only wore that thing just to try to rile up
To get
people.
yeah.
And like,
or like a set designer chose that.
Yeah.
And went, oh, you have a song called Unholy. You know it'd be cool.
Yeah.
This would be cool.
Is if we did a really dramatic Hollywood devil.
Get people talking.
I
That
mean,
you're in a top hat, red and horns.
it's not even thoughtful. Like,
No.
that's not original. Hey, what's unholy? Satan. Okay.
actually, to be honest, if we're looking at the definition of holy being set apart, Satan is set apart, like from almost any other being ever. Not in like a holy way, as which we'd actually think about God being
Appreciate you
holy,
fixing that.
right? But like honestly, he's in his own category. There's no
Yeah.
one hanging out with him.
Yeah, no, someone went, okay, this is a marketing game, and that's all this is.
Yeah.
We need to make it so that they talk about this, because if they talk about this, they talk about the song. And if they're talking about the song, they're talking about the artist. And the artist continues to get played and played and played, and they make more and more money. It had nothing to do with, oh, we're going against the God of the universe by making Sam Smith go out on the stage in a devil costume that's red.
The one thing I would say is that you should know this already, but like it's not like they thought of it that day,
Right.
2 hours before. 60 people that are part of the production, plus another 50 who work at the network
Yep.
and who run the cameras and
Choreographed.
Pfizer who sponsored the performance. Like they knew some man
Bring it
and
to
some
Pfizer.
they was going to be dancing in the devil costumes, and they said, yeah, we're cool with this. And so like if it just shows you like what is not phasing people, the things that are on your, like in fact I saw a picture of it somewhere, I think this morning, and I looked at it and go, I don't want to know any more about that. Like I just why don't want to look at it.
Right.
And I look at everything. And so like it just recognize like it's a revealing of where we're at. It's not a driver of where we're at. It's not the spearhead. It's not leading people. It is revealing that this type of thing doesn't cause a phase among a couple hundred people that are involved in the production.
Right.
Yeah.
Strip
And you
clubs
should know
brothels
that.
have existed for hundreds of years. This is not a new thing society is trying on.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what my first thought when I hadn't really looked at it myself, other than I saw a couple of glimpses, and I just went back to the 80s. I thought that was, you know, all the 80s rock bands that were like all, you know, Alice Cooper or whatever, Kiss, you know, and Satan's Army, you know, and it's like you talk to them and they're like, yeah, I don't know, we're just singing songs and
Right.
Dan, when
taking-
Alice Cooper happened, where were you and what did you think?
I stayed away from all of it.
Okay.
Just because I didn't know. I thought, you know, they're promoting it as satanic, so I just didn't listen to their music, didn't do their stuff. So I thought,
Better safe than sorry.
I didn't know if they were Satanists or not, but I thought I'm just not messing with it.
Okay.
That's interesting because I think Alice Cooper's a Jesus man.
He is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
His dad was a preacher,
Uh-huh.
and then he did the rock thing, and then somewhere in there he
Such a
kind of came back. And,
Insanely smart guy.
yeah.
yeah.
And like, he owns a restaurant in New Mexico, I think, by the way,
Yeah, well.
with Randy Jackson. Randy something who's a
Randy
baseball
Travis?
Randy Travis
Randy
and Randy
Travis.
Jackson are very different.
player. Agreed.
people.
I'm trying to remember
Okay,
who's the
hold on, though.
pitcher.
If Alice
For-
Cooper and Randy Travis
Johnson.
hang out,
Randy Johnson. Thank
like
you.
the Sidewinder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They own.
What an odd
they own,
pairing as
They
well.
own a hot. They own a hot dog joint together in New Mexico.
Wow. Okay,
Like,
I've
legit, yeah.
Does Randy Travis stop
can't
by though?
process
'Cause, like,
that.
I hope so. Yeah, it hits your brain kind of weird when you find out that those two got involved and went, we should make a hot dog joint.
they win the Podgeezer Award. I'd listen to that. I'd listen to that
Deal.
show.
If there is a non-biblical son of the apocalypse, it might be this hot dog joint.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Only to have Randy Travis set one up across the street.
Yeah.
You know, it is kind of funny because like all that music I did not listen to,
Yeah.
later on, 20 years later, I would listen to some of those songs. Go, I mean, it's not like
That's not that bad.
Right.
bad. It's not good. I mean, I was more concerned with the morality
Yep.
they were pushing than, you know, I don't see demons flying out of the, you know, whatever
Hell's Bells
speakers and
from AC/DC was not really trying to drive people to Satanism,
No.
right.
nor was Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, we should do drugs and
Yeah.
drink a whole lot
Yeah.
and then do a bunch of frivolous other things that come along with that. But that's no different than the dude that lives on your street.
That's funny.
That would be the best if AC/DC actually lived on your street. The guy's like, exactly. Peruvian white.
And then
I'm rolling thunder.
and like Tipper Gore's out protesting your neighbor Dave.
We are way more likely to like let go the non-disruptive sins, as far as we call them, than we are the overt. I just want attention. Way of doing it. And like, seriously, if put yourself in a suburban neighborhood and you got a guy that's beating on his wife, a woman who numbs herself all day on wine, pays zero attention to her kids, and then the people down at the end of the block, like, they just can't be trusted to do anything. They just sit around dealing weed outside their back door. You would let all these things go and not get involved. But then as soon as some doofus in a Satan costume shows up on TV,
on the Grammys,
like, oh, he's polluting our youth. They're like, come on, what's wrong with you?
Down.
I miss the days of Frank Sinatra. Oh yeah, he was great too.
Yeah.
He was killing it back then.
I'm just saying, we're just focused on the wrong stuff. And frankly, I mean, it's classic Dan Hudson, right? Hurting people hurt people. Hurting people hurt people. So like, that guy has just obviously a want for people to know him, like him, to be known. And like, it's not happening. So we're going to choose every outrageous, stupid way of trying to get it done. That's just sad, really, more than anything.
Yep, agreed. Hey, I don't know. We usually don't hit the news of the day, but there it is for you. We're catching you up in case you're like Buva, who doesn't follow the news whatsoever. Actually, the same thing happened to my wife. My kids and I were talking about it, and my wife had also had no idea about this balloon. They kind of followed it on the news, on the internet a little bit, kind of like Al Cowlings in the driving OJ around. People
when have we had like a good news story like that, right? Where everyone's peeled to the TV going, what's happening now? When OJ was making a run for it. That was riveting television.
Yeah. There hasn't been the Johnny Depp trial.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a lot slower roll
every 30 seconds from
that's true. There's
news outlets
no reason
and Twitter,
to go.
and then 48 websites that you can Google that didn't do any actual work into figuring out what they were writing.
So
Bless you.
Was the submission to the complaint line correct? When we were talking about cell phone usage last week, the complaint line submission was basically, listen, it's not just a phone, right? Like, it's how we take in all our media anymore. We get most of our information through podcasts, right? So like, does that make the reliance on the phone less severe? Because honestly, a good deal of our life is actually done. Business is done, and our personal interactions are done on that phone.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and this did come from Joe on the complaint line, and I think he nailed a few things. We were talking about the phones, and he said, "I wonder if I'm missing out on a better way." He says he's got a pretty good handle on his phone usage, but really, we're in the podcast age. I do listen to some talk radio while driving, but aside from that, all of my entertainment, news, or education comes from podcasts. I think podcasts have taken the place of TV, magazines, newspaper, and such for this generation. Not sure if there is legitimate value to it, or if it really is just a distraction and more information to sort through, which won't really help me in the long run. I do find the podcasts I listen to really do filter their way into how I see the world and into my conversations about whatever topics are on the table. And so, like, it is interesting to think of that if it felt like it was extra on top of all kinds of things, then you could dismiss it. But if it's legitimately replacing, this is how I get news. This is where I hear good conversation. Like, people talking about interesting things of the day. Maybe you previously read an editorial in the newspaper, and now you listen to a guy talking on the podcast. It's not a frivolous waste of time. It's funny too, because like, you'd see a guy reading a newspaper and you wouldn't go, look at that guy wasting his time. But if you saw your kid watching the same thing on the newscast, you'd be like, look at a kid stuck to the TV. Like sometimes we worry about the way information is transmitted, and as if the more cumbersome it is to get, the more valuable it is to have spent your time doing so. But I think it does bring up a legitimate point, is that, like, let's say you ditched it and went to a flip phone. You also are cutting off the primary means of which you're receiving information. They don't run 85 years ago, they ran an evening newspaper, right? The Des Moines Register ran twice a day. Over time, I don't know if you guys, I went to go buy the Des Moines Register for Thanksgiving because I thought, man, I'm going to look through all the ads and stuff. I mean, it had been on Jenny Craig. There was nothing to this thing. There was like 8 total pages, 3 or 4 different ads in there. It was super skinny. And so it's dying.
Yeah.
And so like you're the other option to say, well, I don't want to use the phone. Like you're running out of the way in which the world communicates. And so I think it brings a right richness to the conversation. Is that like we may have to accept that this is the means of which a lot of information is transferred, of which good information happens. Good and like you could just say no, I'm not going to take in any of it. But if you think of it as a replacement for some of those things, I think it does inform that conversation perhaps a little bit differently. Even if I'm not sure it particularly changes the cautions. It doesn't change the recognition of how much, because like the question is, could you say the same thing in 1948 and go, hey, listen, man, you touch that newspaper more than you touch your wife, or you read that, you talk to that, you listen to the newspaper more than you listen to your wife. Like you could, it's the same thing. Like when you have your thing in right balance. But I think it's well put. I think so. Good thought.
I don't think I've ever held or read a newspaper in my life.
No kidding.
Yeah, no. I've also never sent a letter until I got married.
Who'd you send a letter to?
My wife.
Oh.
Or not till I got married, excuse me. A little bit before we got married, because I sent a letter to her in Africa. I'd never sent mail before that day in my life, or written a check.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I really am a child of smartphones and the internet and stuff like that. I've never in any way like interacted with most analog things that exist.
I had to write a check today, and I was just like,
I would struggle.
I had to rethink about it. How do you do this?
I would probably have to like Google how to write a check.
Yeah.
And every time I've sent a couple letters in my life now. Every time I've had to look it up. My wife is much better than I do. Thank the Lord for sending her to me, because like anytime we want to send out Christmas cards and stuff, she has stamps. Like she has our address and stuff like on a roll of stickers and stuff. Like she's prepared for this. I would have no clue how to do most of the stuff. I would have to really like figure it out. I mean, I can cook.
All right. You're listening to Live from the Path. Mike, let's give out some advice.
Okay. We got a couple. Okay. You ready? Dear, Live from the Path. My older sister visits me every week to play cards and chat. While I love her dearly and enjoy her visits, sometimes I do not appreciate one topic she brings up. We are on different ends of the political spectrum. Although I never initiate a conversation about the candidate she voted for in the last election, she never misses an opportunity to debase my choice for the same office. It's distressing, and I nearly cried the last time she made a derogatory remark about him. When she doesn't bring up politics, we have a wonderful time. Why does she do this? Is she clueless about how much this bothers me? I am a quiet person who doesn't like confrontation or making others feel bad, so I generally just nod my head or listen without saying anything. I sometimes dread seeing her because I never know if she's going to bring up the politics. Do you have a polite, non-confrontational way of making her stop?
Non-confrontational.
Non-confrontational.
Do you have a non-confrontational way for me to confront somebody?
Hey, I really want something to stop something.
I need to confront somebody.
And I need to tell them to stop, but I really need to not say stop.
Yeah.
Can you cease?
I'm going to put up a boundary but not really have any.
Right.
I mean, doesn't it sound like she's not actually even said something?
It sounds that way.
Right.
She's too afraid to,
I mean, the sister has to be a little bit obtuse.
I mean,
to maybe not notice.
Yeah, some people suck to talk to.
Yeah, that's
like it sounds like she's great most of the time, and then sometimes she just brings up derogatory remarks to you about the candidate. Like, is she saying, like, is she like yelling at you for who you are, or is she like yelling about the candidate? And that hurts you.
Yeah, because I certainly wouldn't cry about that.
Yeah. Those are two very separate things.
Well, maybe she assumes
saying,
they
you're
vote
an
for the
idiot.
same
You
person.
voted for blank, or blank is an idiot.
I mean, she might assume they voted for the same person because the other person doesn't volunteer any information.
That's true.
She's probably thinking, yeah, you know that one person,
right?
they're terrible.
Yeah.
And she's secretly crying inside.
Yeah.
I voted for that person.
You voted for Jimmy. And I voted for Trent.
Yeah.
Right. I hate Trent. He's the Ralph Nader
Trent's
of the
the
2000s.
worst. Vermin Supreme.
Hey, is Ralph Nader still around, incidentally?
I've not seen him.
If
do
not,
any
he's probably
political-
still running from the
Matt
grave.
talked to him.
Yeah, he was part of shooting down a Chinese balloon not this past week.
He flew the Raptor.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is people don't know to avoid a awkward conversation unless you make it awkward first. right?
True.
That way, once it happens, they go, "Oh, you know what? That didn't go very well. Perhaps I won't mention this all the time."
And here's the deal: you have power to make that super awkward.
Oh yeah.
And it just is scrumptious. You can cut that with a knife and put it on toast. It's good stuff.
I got someone I kind of
Every opportunity to just be like,
You
actually,
do that, Dan?
They're my best friend.
I mean, yeah. There's someone I try to make things awkward, just to okay, can we move this conversation on?
Right.
And some people can't read that room. They just can't. They don't. They're like, they just look at you like,
You can get
that's
that
different.
stuck in the mud real quick.
Would you?
Have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Get some payback in it.
Would
Be
you-
vindictive.
What'd you say there, Martha? Trump, bo bump, banana, pineapple. First
You
of
know
all,
what sounds like Trump? Trump.
it sounds like you could just start with saying, "Hey, I didn't vote for that guy, and this conversation never go anywhere." And so I should have said something earlier because
Right.
maybe you thought you had an ally here, but we part company on this political choice.
I was almost brought to tears, though.
yeah. So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is that
That's the flip.
I mean, what do you?
That is the flip.
Are you dating Joe Biden? What do you care?
I hope not. Fairly certain he's married.
I'm fairly certain he doesn't even know.
I think you're right.
Whether he's so you know what I'm saying? Hey, I hate.
He sniffs her hair.
It's like saying I hate Donald Trump. You're like, okay, I mean,
You can if you want to.
so it was just such a weird.
You know what?
Fantastic.
You're
I'm
lucky.
glad you've developed an identity around this.
You're
I'm gonna
lucky
move
that
past
balloon didn't have Trump's face on it. You know what I'm saying? You're darn lucky. Because there's a
For sure would've made
50-50
it best
shot that he paid to have that thing go up, and he would put his own face on there.
It still may happen.
I know China.
I bet he floats
I
one
know
as
about
part
the
of his
balloons.
presidential candidate.
There's an awesome meme going around with the Trump balloon floating around.
I know China. I know the balloons.
I know the balloons.
We talked
Putin
about
talks to
this.
me about China all the time.
You guys are making me cry. We're talking about something
Gosh. I mean, yes. Okay. Of course, there's certain situations, but bring it up and go, hey, here's the deal. I hate this conversation. No longer are we putting this on the table. We
else.
just
You got to
don't
be
talk about it.
honest. Yeah.
Just don't talk about it. We can have 98% of our conversations.
Yeah.
This just sucks, and I hate it. And I want to be your friend because I love you as my sister.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to have this conversation anymore.
I mean, change the subject.
Right.
Let's say it's about bacon. She
Right.
talks about bacon. You still got to have the same conversation. Can we just not
Seinfeld
talk
it.
about bacon?
Well, what's the deal with
Yeah.
airline food? Whatever you need to do, just get it past it.
Yeah.
But talk about it. Don't be non-confrontational. You need to be confrontational in this, but confrontational does not mean mean. It doesn't need to be angry. It doesn't need to be you being a jerk now. It can just be, hey, here's the deal. I hate these conversations. I love when you come over and hang out with me. I love to play cards with you, whatever that means. I'd love to take your money in Texas Hold'em. But we don't have this conversation anymore, please. But then the flip side of that is, I think you need to detach maybe a little bit from this conversation if the mention or a derogatory mention of a candidate that you voted for possibly brings you to tears. That maybe there's a time to step back and go, okay, I'm allowing them to be a human. They need to allow me to be a human, and I kind of just need to go, water off the back.
Something to that. Yeah.
That's what I do.
China.
10 balloons. They make high quality balloons.
I made balloons. I invented balloons.
Here
It's a
we
very
go.
big balloon.
It's big. It's the biggest balloon.
Biggest balloon.
Everybody loved it. Okay. Secular says, the question was, do you have a polite, non-confrontational way of making her stop? Yes, I do. Quit nodding your head and establish some ground rules with your sister.
That's confrontational.
Tell her that you love her company, but that the pejorative political comments must stop. Also confrontational. Make clear that you want politics off the table when she visits because the subject is so upsetting. And if she cannot comply, you will be seeing her less often. Period. Wow.
What are you, an officer of the law now, talking about the pejorative situation and the compliance to it?
Yeah.
But being non-confrontational.
Standing up for yourself is not being confrontational. It definitely is. You cannot change the definition of confrontational merely because you want it to be a more positive connotation. You are long overdue for this brief chat. If you cannot do this, then stop blaming her and be prepared for much more of the same. That's true.
I mean, you could actually learn and grow together discussing politics if you could just do it in a mature way.
Right.
That
guy's a goober.
Yeah. I don't know if it's got to be immediate hand throwing. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe you brought this up and I didn't tell you, but now I'm super mad about it and I'm going to see you less.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, I love this political guy. Oh, interesting. How come? Oh, I like what he's doing on taxes. Or I hate this other guy. Oh, that's interesting. Where did you come to that opinion? You could just have a normal conversation about this kind of thing.
I feel like people suck at defending opinions without feeling like they need to like get into fisticuffs.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so rough to have conversations about politics and religion within your family and within your friends groups and stuff like that. People feel like they're throwing fists or they don't know how to have conversations. But I got to tell you, real world example of this, one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. My dad, Christ follower, loved Jesus, good stuff. My uncle, not so much. Did not love Jesus, and neither did my nana for a long time. My dad's mom, and I remember one year at Christmas, they had kind of had to set ground rules. We no longer talk about religion. We no longer talk about politics, just because that's just not the life that they wanted to live. They would just always get heated and angry, and so that Christmas, after my dad and my uncle set those ground rules together, my Uncle Brad got my dad this nightlight of Jesus, and it was like a white, like no color nightlight of Jesus, and he goes, I know he's your light, and so I wanted to get this for you so you always have something to like fall asleep to, and so you can always fall asleep to your papa and stuff like that. It was great. And we were like, my Uncle Brad was just being a schmuck, being a little brother, and we were all expecting like legit fallout, and my dad just goes, this is awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. And you bet that Jesus nightlight stayed in our hallway for the next like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like we had that forever. We're like, Dad, could we please put away the Jesus nightlight? He goes, no, it's the best gift I've ever gotten from my little brother. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. I made him put money to Jesus. Yes, we're keeping that forever. So.
I am the way and the truth and the nightlight.
Okay, we got time for one more?
Yep, let's
Here
do
it
it.
is. You're live from the path. I have been on phone calls recently with a married friend when the spouse will suddenly chime in without my knowing they were listening. There are times when I want a conversation to be private with only one person. What's the polite way to make this happen in a world of speakerphones? Okay, this is like a personal pet peeve of mine. I hate it when people talk on a speakerphone, although I tend to do it especially at work.
Yeah.
But like, that's not private conversation time.
Yeah.
Right? People aren't going to reveal like gory truths to you on a work call most of the time, so it's usually pretty safe. But like, I don't know. Do you find people using the speakerphone a lot? When did it become a hassle to hold this thing up to your ear? Where you're like, man, I just can't be bothered.
I'd say about the time that speakerphone was invented.
I suppose.
I tell you what, I have gotten I've legitimately not called into a work phone call because I forgot my headphones, my Bluetooth headphones, and I didn't want to hold the phone open to my ear. Isn't it ridiculous? And I thought about it too. I thought,
this is exhausting.
I still didn't do it. I said, I wait 30 minutes. I got to hold this thing up to my face. I'm out. This is why we do short-term missions. Is you go to another country and you go, okay, I'm acting ridiculous.
What's your heat source? Oh, we have wood. I think I can take that call.
No. So that is, I've noticed this, and broaden it out a little bit, is people's use of a personal device as if it is a PA. So whether you are on a speakerphone or like, I don't know how many times I've been sitting in the airport over the last year or so, and like guys like watching YouTube videos at full volume, like he's just sitting in his chair. I'm like, well, put on some headphones, bro. Like, I didn't ask to listen to whatever this is going on. And there's like 5 or 6 people doing it. And so there is kind of a blatant looking around and going, I'm going to do what I want. I don't have any care about anybody else. Same reason someone's on their phone and like checking out at the gas station. Like, it just basically is a middle finger to everybody around you.
Yeah.
And that's rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at the IHOP with the woman, and like, there's a gal sitting.
Did you take your woman for a date at the IHOP?
Yeah.
I was about to say, we went out for our anniversary.
Yeah, and it's in classic like us style. She got a phone call 2 minutes after we sat down with some crisis gal or whatever, and so like I'm sitting there eating by myself. Really, it's how it always turns out. But anyway, like,
did you do this recently?
Yeah.
Aren't you on a food journey?
It was before the food journey.
Aren't you on a food journey?
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Aren't
an
we
interesting
all?
question.
It was,
Keep going, Mike.
it was before the food journey. Anyway, so the gal behind us, this is why I start. I didn't want to listen to my wife's conversation because it seemed heavy. And so I listened to the conversation of the gal behind me who's on speakerphone, where her daughter is at Walmart trying to buy an Odoban for the animals who peed all over the house. And they're like talking about where you could find the Odoban, why it's better than other pet defecation cleaning methods. And this went on for 15 minutes, full volume. And they're swearing back and forth with each other on the price of the Odoban. I'm like, I realize we're not at the Ritz-Carlton here, but the IHOP does have standards. All you got to do is take that thing
This
up.
ain't no Waffle House.
That's right. You need to move it like 12 inches up to the ear and whiz bang. Hit that button.
I have a weird, like, I don't want to call it respect, but it kind of is for the people that just have just a chrome-plated set of life that where they can have these kind of conversations screaming at the top of their lungs on speakerphone and not give a care about anyone around them.
That is living out loud.
Like,
in the middle of the grocery store.
There's a level where I'm just like, I don't know if I could ever muster the confidence in myself well enough to go, everyone in this Walmart right now
That's true.
needs to hear. Or it isn't even in that. It's the fact that, like, I could give I could care less. I couldn't care less, excuse me, about anyone else in this giant Walmart supercenter, that they're going to hear about everything I have to say about whatever stupid crap I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the rest of the universe that they have to hear me talk about this. I just don't care. And I think to myself, what freedom exists in that I do not currently take part in?
That's a
where
good
I'm
point.
like, hey man, I'll give you a call back because I'm in a public place right now and I don't want to be on the phone. And I'm talking at a perfectly normal level, but like I'm going to walk back. Whereas everyone else is like, do you know? And they're just like screaming. I'm like, I appreciate you so much. I love it.
I feel like I would start worrying about the audience around me, where I would tell a joke and it's not good enough that the person on the other end of the phone laughed. I would be looking at the aisles and go, hey, did you guys catch that?
Aisle 7, do you think that one was funny?
Solid gold, bro.
How does Moses make his coffee? He brews it? How funny was that?
Here's the thing is like I refuse to take phone calls in front of other people, even with it up to my ear.
Right.
I don't want them hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like taking phone calls in front of people.
Right.
I
At
don't
all.
either.
And so like people talking on the speakerphone out loud, like this drives me up the wall. And I've been accused of doing this before, where like my boss called me and he's like, he was mad and he's like, blankety blank foos, get me off the blanking speakerphone. I go, this is going to be hard to take in, but you're not actually on speakerphone. Maybe my phone is old. I don't know. What impression
It's
you
just
got
crappy
that?
technology, I promise you.
I was like, what do you want though? I mean, like honestly, you're not on speakerphone. Oh, well, I need you to go here.
It sounded like it was.
Like
I love you.
he was like legit mad about it.
I need
And
to
so
tell
like,
you something.
so the question is like, let's say that you do hate it, because like, I mean, I don't know if I'd want every conversation I have with Buva to like have his wife sit next to him, listen to that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's Buva level stuff I'm saying that I don't say in front of Buva's lady.
And here's the deal. To go back to this question, just say that. Just be like, hey, here's the deal. I know sometimes, Sandra chimes in. What I'm about to say is some rough stuff, and I'd really kind of only want it to be for you. And if they go, yeah, no problem, cool. And then you still hear Sandra at the end of that, you no longer have those conversations with Dave.
Yeah, but
It's
is it an assumption that like if I call Dave that his wife's gonna be listening all the time? That's just the new normal?
No, but it sounds like this is a problem that's happened multiple times. So I'm saying the realistic thing here is to go, hey, Sandra's always on the phone when I'm talking to you. I'm about to tell you some rough stuff. Can you not put Sandy on? I love Sandy. I love that you love her. I'm happy for your marriage. I was there when you got married. I remember the color. But I don't want her hearing this. You can have that conversation. It's perfect fine.
But he's just gonna tell her later. Maybe that's
Exactly.
the problem.
That's the truth. Yes, exactly.
The same guy that would allow his wife to listen to your speakerphone conversation, the same
Tells
dude's
her
going to tell
immediately
his
after
wife
the phone.
anyway.
Yeah, right.
Right? Maybe you should just stop-
what happened to blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, you should stop calling that guy. I mean, honestly, you should start every conversation with
there a
Sergio
chance
Loins,
that-
Dave. Like, I got some stuff, and it's about you. And it's when he kicks his wife out, then you go, I was kidding, dude. It's about me. Here's the thing.
Is there a chance that it's the wife? Like it's the wife that like is barging into the conversations? Like he's trying to have a personal conversation and she just goes, give me the phone now. And she puts it on
Like, I
speaker
wanna
and
hear
sits
it?
there.
That'd be
Again,
bold.
don't call him.
I mean, have you ever been in a room where someone's
Call
having
a single guy.
like a rough conversation and you're like, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go hide.
There's
in
a
the other
social
room.
anxiety to conversations where I'm like, I don't want to be in the same zip code as this conversation right now. I'm moving.
Yeah, this sounds real bad. I couldn't even begin to start giving advice. I hope my wife don't look at me and go like, what should I tell him?
Right.
Like, don't ask me. I'm not here.
Yeah, you're not the problem in this kind of situation because you flip around to figure out what's going on with the Odo ban.
Yeah.
I'm actually the only part of that I'm upset about is that you didn't give recommendations on a better product.
There is not. Actually, Otoband's pretty top shelf.
Well, then you should have given a
They use
recommendation
it in all the
and
vet
heard
clinics.
what they thought.
Yeah, that stuff's all right. You know what I'm saying?
You should have been like, excuse me, I noticed the conversation you've been having about the dog dirt,
Yeah.
and I agree with you entirely. Otoband's the business.
Otoban and Simple Green, like put those in a bottle, shake them up.
Yeah.
I think that'll clean
Used to
anything.
use those to clean inflatables.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Simple Green.
Good stuff.
Okay, so overall the question was, what's the polite way to make this happen? That she's only having private conversations. What's the polite way to make this happen in a world of speakerphones?
I mean, it's not a world of speakerphones. It's not like everybody's doing it. This is a personal problem that you have with this particular couple.
They've been saying
Not
it.
like inundated with it. But I think you're going to have to bring it up. I would say I would start with like, if you felt like it was going to be sensitive, you could start with a shallow hint, like say, hey man, sometimes, I might say wild things. And so I like to know who I'm dealing with. So when I call, you need to tell me, am I talking to one party or two? And then over time, like either they're going to get the hint, and if they don't get the hint,
European drug dealer.
then you move it up and say, hey, sometimes I just want to talk to you. And I need you to not, it's not information for everybody.
Dave, Sandy cannot be here for the conversation.
Like when I'm driving in my truck and my phone rings, it answers through, a vehicle. I always answer with, hey, you're on speakerphone. What's going on?
Yeah.
Just so they know. You just get that out of the,
right
off the
I
bat.
suppose you have a lot of conversations, though, that people would absolutely not want to be on speakerphone.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
They're like, Dan, the roughest stuff that's ever happened to me today. And you're like, hey, by the way, you're on speperphone.
Yeah, my 4-year-old's
like,
in the
okay,
back seat.
I'm going to call you next
talk to me
year.
later?
Dan, am I on speakerphone? Because I got one word. Herpes. Who else is in who's in the car?
I was at an IHOP recently, and people were talking about Otoban.
Do you think Otoban and Simple Green will help with that? I don't know. Let me call my contact at the IHOP.
Gross, man. What a terrible commercial for Otoban.
No, actually,
Valtrex?
it doesn't
Otoban.
help the herpes. You just spray yourself in the eye, so you don't have to look at it.
Didn't fix that, but it made another problem.
But I don't see nothing. Okay.
Oh, that's disgusting, Mike. Thank you.
Secular advice is the way to handle it is to tell the married person you would like to know if someone is within earshot because you want your conversation to be private. And if it happens again, convey sensitive information to the person only face to face. Now, I'm telling you, it don't matter. That dude is telling his wife everything. Like, I don't care whether you tell him face to face or not. He's a gossip. I would never let anybody listen to any of my conversations.
No. It's just bizarre.
Although you should know that like there is some level of like that married people are going to share, right? They're going to share information. I think who you can, who will keep certain facts at bay or maybe not tell like every gritty nasty detail, but like would I say, hey, if I was on the phone with Ben for an hour and my wife like, hey, what's up? I'm like, yeah, I've been struggling. He's just having a struggle today, and we're trying to fake it. He's blind, first of all.
Involved.
He's got the simple Otoban concoction in his eyes, and his friend Herp is coming in from out of town.
Uncle Herp is on the way.
Can you whip up some apothecary's potion and situation here? Does thieves help with this?
He's come to visit.
I mean, married couples are going to share a little bit. If you're taking an hour away from a married man with kids, his wife should want to know why, right?
Yeah.
And like without telling entire details, you can say, look, we're on a road and it's not a great road. This is probably going to happen again, but we're working through it, So they're going to share the fact. You're never going to be able to, like, I can't believe you told your wife that I was in the Straits. Yeah, you don't call a married man and expect him not to at least share a little bit of the details with his wife.
Find some single friends.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talk to your gossip buddies at the workout facilities. That's it. So
what did you just say?
What?
The workout facilities? What was that? You were just killing it the last 5 minutes, man.
We're going to let it go. You've been listening to Life in the Path. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
You shouldn't have been, but you did.
Maybe we missed some good, solid news of the day. And maybe there's some things where you saw out in the world and you said, man, them fellows should have talked about that instead of whatever garbage they talked about today. Listen, iron can't sharpen iron if you don't get up on the old blacksmith shop. So let us know. Life in the Path complaint line 515-517-0085. That's 515-517-0085. 885. Call or text. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see how it goes on. We may or may not be having shows in the next 2 weeks, but we sure will be checking that complaint line. Thanks, Joe, for hitting us up. In the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.